for the next session, which is a panel coming up. So in the next 25 minutes, we will ask the executives about their take on what technology is actually really shaping in the industry. Before I do that, let me also hint you to the website of the ITB. So make sure you look at the program of the ITB Berlin Convention, as this is 3 days packed with 17 tracks, 400 speakers. Make sure to really use some good time to choose the sessions that are most valuable to you. And I can only say sometimes it's also really interesting to choose a session where you think it wouldn't be really your topic, because my experience is that all the content is really great and you always walk away with good ideas and inspiration for the year ahead, right? And many years ahead. And then also, if you use social media, we love seeing what you're experiencing here. We love seeing your pictures. Use the hashtag ITB Berlin Convention. And yes, if you want to consume content also in the days after ITB, we're happy if you check out our podcast, the Travel Hero podcast, that you can find on any podcast platform that's out there. And then I'd say, as we have to be very strict on time today because we have a super packed program, we didn't plan any breaks in because we don't want to get any time to waste here. We want to make the best out of it. Everyone get in, take your seat. We're about to get into the next session. The next session, the tech trends shaping travel's future, is an executive forecast. I chose for the 3 powerhouses that I would like to invite on stage to join me here and sit down. And I'd ask to come on stage, please, the CEO and co-founder of the HolidayPirates Group, David Armstrong, the founder and managing partner at ROCH Ventures, Bobby Demri, and the chief operating officer at Trip.com, Schubert Lou. Please come on stage, gentlemen. Make yourself at home. Yes, a warm applause, please. Thank you so much for being here. Look at that.
Thank you for having us.
That's a perfect picture, having you here on stage. I'm excited for the next 25 minutes. And let's do this like properly, right? Because look at this packed room. I know who you are, but maybe we do a little introduction. Let's keep it concise, right? And we start with you, Schubert. Schubert, you're the CEO at Trip.com. Tell us briefly about yourself and what are you most excited about with Trip.com for this year?
Sure. Schubert Lou, CEO of Trip.com. We're very excited about the AI trend that we're actually following and how it can make our work more efficient and more engaging with the user. So looking forward to the engagement in the discussion.
Thank you so much for being here. Bobby Demri, you are a partner and founder at the ROCH Ventures.
French entrepreneur.
Right.
Turned into a VC. I very excited about the fact that I believe that the industry is entering a new era, that we are living a new revolution, and that a lot of amazing things are going to happen in the industry, and we want to invest in those shaping the future of the industry.
Listen up. And also, I'd like to add, you are most probably the only venture, like the VC fund at the moment, that's only focusing on travel tech, right? One of the few
in
ones.
Europe, yes. Not in
Europe,
the US.
Right?
In the US, we have our friends from Sire Venture.
Right.
In Asia, we have our friend from Velocity Ventures.
Right.
But in Europe, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, let's find out. Is anyone here that disagrees? No, which is good. So, David Armstrong, you are this founder and co-founder and CEO at HolidayPirates Group. Tell us a bit about yourself and HolidayPirates.
Yeah, I'm David. Hi. I co-founded the group out of the German nucleus that was already around, Urlaubspiraten, and internationalized the business across Europe in 10 countries. And yeah, technology played a big role over the last 12 years. And AI does right now as well.
Right. I mean, 2 of you already mentioned it. It's AI, right? That is on top of your list. In one sentence, what would you say if you had to choose now for a press interview, for example? What is the most transformative trend that you would say is the one to watch out for? What would you say, David?
Well, for us and for many others in the retail part of things, it's the way people search and decide on where to travel to. And that's where AI plays a big role.
Right.
People search differently, use tools, and decide much more on different platforms than they did before.
Yeah, I like that. I want to dig into that later a bit more. What would you say, Bobby? What's the most transformative trend you're seeing?
So let me approach the question through two different angles. From a traveler's perspective, I think we shifted from where I want to go to what do I want to do. Therefore, I would say that personalization, AI. If I take it from a regulatory perspective, which is very important for the big travel operators, I would say sustainable travel, because that's definitely something that the industry needs to push towards. I think that the travel industry will be sustainable or won't be. And therefore, I take the sustainable travel as one of the key trends.
Right, okay. What would you say, Schubert? What, from your perspective at Trip.com, what are you seeing as the most transformative trend?
Yeah, I think Tino touched on it a little bit on the general term of agentic AI. But I think within agentic AI, I think what we're going to see this year is more what we would call the multi-agent workflows, which is really AI workflow between companies, between departments, and using AI to make work more efficient. We see that landing this year, where user-facing AI technology may take a little longer, but in the same time, I think the B2B AI usage will be spiking a lot this year. So we're looking forward to that. It's no longer just the conversational, the reasoning, but it's actually the action part of the work and making sure that it's precise and we don't have errors in between. And that's going to be difficult, but going to be a breakthrough year this year.
So will we see the results then reflected in better customer service and just more efficiency in the team's operations? Or?
Absolutely, in all departments. I mean, just this year, I kick off 4 projects on any department that has more than 30 people in my world and try to make it more efficient. So that's what we're doing. We can dive deeper into that topic later on, but that's definitely a trend that we're seeing right now.
Right. And I mean, there's a lot of talk about that everything gets, in the end, easier for the consumer, right? Would you say we are approaching a zero-click booking experience where through AI, for example, it's just made so simple for the consumer to just choose where to go and how to purchase the services?
I don't think it will be a zero-click. I don't foresee that for the immediate future, because people still want to inform themselves and be inspired one way or the other. And they want to also trust the platform or the brand they book with, essentially. So one click, I'm not 100% sure. That's not around the corner, I think.
How is it for Trip.com? Are you having the zero-click journey soon on Trip.com?
I think what you're referring to really is the multimodal, which is not necessarily using the standard keyboard or doing a search, but maybe using voice.
Right.
Something that we actually enable already in our Trip Genie product that will enable search with voice. I think that is still, to me, a experiment where we're still into the TTS, the text-to-speech, where we're now seeing more the S2S, which is speak-to-speech.
All right.
That transformation is already happening. There are many platforms are doing it without naming names. You probably already know there are a number of startups are actually doing the S2S. That's a whole another world of hallucination, if I may. It's actually getting quite tricky to get it right. But once you get it right, the performance is in the I would say sub 10 millisecond range, which make the conversation a lot more smoother. I think that's where the experiment is in terms of zero touch. But in terms of user acquisition, I think there's still going to be a lot of work that can be done with AI to get user more engaged than traditional search and marketing.
Right, it's very interesting. What's your thoughts, Bobby?
I'm more looking at all-in-one platforms than one-click platform.
Right.
And then from a traveler's perspective, I had a great conversation with a founder who runs a company called Whiskey. And he told me, I was challenging him about AI and the fact that why are we not able in one click to get like hyper-personalization option and so on. And he gave me a very interesting answer. He said, because Bobby, I think that travelers are looking to search. They want to search. They don't want to have something like that. That's the beauty of traveling is about searching. So it might be a very special statement because it's a bit against what we're saying here. But I do like the fact that traveling is something unique. And at some point of time, you still want to look at the best option and lose yourself in like, what's the best thing and search.
Right. What are you seeing? Yeah, with the customer acquisition. I mean, that's your expertise area, right?
Yeah, yeah, and at the same time, search changes a lot because many or majority is really shifting away from traditional search engines onto other platforms, mostly social media platforms, to be inspired. And as we saw in Thilo's presentation before, passion travel was the biggest topic, and you can't create and ignite passion on a search engine that well than on social media. So people tend more and more to other platforms, social media platforms, all kinds of, to be inspired to search things. They don't enter it into a search engine anymore. They enter it into the search bar on a social media platform, and it's shifting there. And what's not happening at the same time is that travel players are looking towards these platforms to acquire new customers and traffic.
Right. Schubert, you want to add something?
If I can add, I think the user behavior is changing, but not as fast as we think. In the traditional search, we're looking at 2 or 3 words, right? In the AI search, you're getting into long sentences. But even in our data, we're seeing less than 10 words, meaning people are still can't get understanding what it is. They can't articulate a 30-word sentence and become a search term and say, just book it for me, right? They're still coming in chunks. That's how people think. And how can we then kind of do a multi-round conversation with it? Do you mean going to, on this day, here's the location, here's the weather, right? So there will be more interaction between the customer and us. So it's not the zero click, let's put in one 30-word sentence and then book it for me.
But it's changing for sure.
The behavior is definitely changing.
Yeah, I mean, inspiration. You can see that, right? A lot of platforms, they tested, or they already have implemented the feature-based search, right? So you're not, as a consumer, you're not tied anymore to give in a date location. You can just say, I want to go to a beach, right? Give me an idea. Where's a beach? Where's a nice city I can visit?
Yeah, themes,
Right.
you know, motivational travel, passion travel, all these things are more and more important. People increasingly want to travel for a greater reason than just lying on the beach. Some do, and that has changed, especially post-COVID. Yeah.
And do you think that most of the travel companies already understood that this is changing?
Not the majority. I don't think so. No.
Right. Did you take the note? It's good. All right. I mean, Bobby, you're sitting in the chair of like giving investments, so you have the hard choice to say, okay, who do I bet on? So what are you seeing? Where's the venture capital flowing to? Is there like a obvious trend where you have a safe bet if I give my money to that case?
There's no safe bet in my world.
Right.
However, let me I'll answer to your question, but first of all, I want to give some hope to the entrepreneurs in the room, because the industry is really transforming, and the crisis is behind us. And I can tell you from an investor point of view that the biggest private equity fund are back betting on travel. And this is a very big signal about the industry. You are now having access to a lot of capital from very big players, understanding that our industry is one of the fastest growing industry. That's one. There is a macro element as well. People forget that travel accounts for 10% of the worldwide GDP, 10% of every employment. So it's a massive industry. And I would say that in terms of investment, this industry is quite late. In the past 15 years, less than 1% of the VC money went to travel. It's extremely low. And if you put this in perspective with what I just shared in terms of macro, this is insane. So the investors are back. That's one good news. Now, what are the trends or the company we are looking to invest in? I mean, obviously, AI, it's a lot about AI, but I think the most important thing is what is really changing the industry. And we are in an industry that have not really been disrupted since a while now. If you take the story of the industry, you take the GDSs, this was in the 80s, you take Booking.coms, or even the low-cost carrier, it was the 90s. You take Booking.coms, the 20s, Airbnb, 20s and 10. What's next? I think what's next is now. And what we are trying to find is the new standards. And in different verticals, you have a lot of things that need to change. I've mentioned the GDSs, but I mean, like the airline distribution is really something that will change at some point of time. And if you bet now on the players that are really going to disrupt these segments, could get a big win. Blockchain is also a topic that we all have been discussing since a while, but in many areas, I think that people are not ready yet, from probably a knowledge perspective, so how to use it, how this will change, but I think it will come. I really think it will come. And what at ROCH Venture we love is really how the technology is shaping the future of the industry. And sometimes in niche segments, there are really a lot of niche segment that needs to be addressed and will make a huge impact. And my last point about the investment perspective, if you look at all the recent rounds from the big travel tech players, Lighthouse, Guesty, Muse, the big rounds are for consolidation. Those players are here to do acquisition. So you need to ask yourself whether I'm a consolidator or whether I'm going to be consolidate. And if you want to be consolidate, you need to understand precisely what those players are looking for. What are they missing? And then you have an exit route. So that's what we are looking at.
I love that question. What are we missing in the industry? If we were looking for innovation, what is what we need? Where's the pain that we need to solve?
Brand loyalty.
Brand loyalty?
I think that's what most travel players in the industry are struggling with. You can build a brand on search in the last decades, and that's what big brands like Booking did, and they put billions of dollars, actually every quarter, billions of dollars into paid search. But not every brand can afford that, and not every company. So it's hard to build a brand. I think AI and also social media offer this opportunity to build a brand, to stay in touch with your followers on a constant basis, and not buy them over and over again when they think about traveling once or twice a year, and then tend to a search engine again.
Right. I want to segue from that question because it was a good point you mentioned with loyalty, right? So OTAs, that's a huge challenge for any player in the industry, driving loyalty, how to build loyalty. Schubert, from your perspective, how do OTAs leverage AI and machine learning to enhance customer experience, but also drive loyalty in this increasingly competitive digital landscape?
Absolutely. I think David touched on it before. Getting user in, what I call user acquisition, is very important, and we're following their lead and trying to get the traffic into our platform. To us, AI is now being changed in user conversion. User conversion meaning how can we serve the customer more effectively? Not so much using a chatbot as the entry point necessarily, but in their conversion experience, how can we add personalization, previous transaction history, user preferences, and understanding the seasonality, the information about the destination, and how can we combine that into a recommendation that's more meaningful and useful for the user. I think that's where we're trying to get more AI into the technology and the know-how, and giving users something a little bit more dynamic and user-friendly. I think in the past, like Bobby said, we've been sitting still for 20 years and serving the same technology, but just using a different front end from online to app. But that's pretty much all we did for 20 years. But now what we need to do is giving something that user can really use and they appreciate, something they can actually make saying, yeah, that's for me. I think that's coming at the door as we have AI.
Bobby, you want to react? I see you.
Not especially to this, but beyond the technology, what is happening is also a shift in travelers' habits. And that's probably where a couple of things are missing. If you look at like active tourism, experiential travel, there's a lot of new experience to create. And I can give some example on the sustainable travel side, but there's definitely new travels a bit that needs to be addressed, which sometimes goes beyond technology, and where we can really create new models.
If I just add to that really quickly, I think we need a smarter destination management system or platform. Meaning the data I'm talking about is all OTA and customer. We need more data from the destination and giving us that data so that we can actually serve the country better. For example, over-tourism,
Right.
crowd control, infrastructure updates on what is breaking down, how is traffic flowing, and how can we actually get that adjusted. How can we do more dynamic pricing to get travel off-peak, for example?
But it is all real-time data you're speaking of. It's
Right.
all-
No,
all right.
right now we get a quarter delay data, right? 3 months
Yeah.
later, you get the data what you want.
Yeah.
Well, we need within the week or within the day, that kind of data flow and get it
Right.
actually going. If we can get that, the experience will be way better than
Right.
what we have today.
Bobby mentioned experiences, and that's not missing, but it's growing a lot. Experiences like group travel with like Airbnb style, meeting people, traveling with people you don't know. These are new things that have come up post-COVID, and they're growing a lot.
Right, and would you also agree that, I mean, there's also a lot of talk about the off the beaten path, so really giving visibility also to destinations that are not really seen, right? And I mean, that's something where, I mean, OTAs like Trip.com, you have massive potential in highlighting and suggesting locations that are maybe not top of mind. Are you seeing that too? That there is maybe a chance for underrated destinations to become part of the game?
Absolutely, and you know, the perfect platform for that is actually also social media to do so, because if you go to an OTA, you actually search for something, so you actually have to say or type in what you're looking for. If you see something on social media you're not necessarily searching for, you can be inspired by that immediately. So it's just a different approach.
Yeah, just
Right.
adding to David's point, combined with the destination and the OTA and power marketing, we can make a new destination the new attraction. We can't
Right.
do that.
Right.
We have seen examples of it, right?
Do you have an example? Can you share one example of?
Well, without talking the country, there are a couple of destination cities where
Right.
the top two are so crowded. We started working with the tourism board to promote the third and fourth one.
Wonderful,
Where
yeah.
we're actually seeing traffic increases in those destinations.
Yeah.
Once the infrastructure, room nights are there, we can actually promote it.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Interesting is that like a trend destination that came up over the last 2 or 3 years, Albania, also the sponsor of the
Partner country,
of
yeah.
the partner country, it was highly promoted over social media by people traveling there. Most people, you know, before the pandemic, have never thought about traveling to Albania. Post-pandemic, that became a trend destination within Europe. It's beautiful there. It's, you know, it's a Mediterranean country, and that's the power of motion picture, people being influenced by others, and that's just one example.
Right. Bobby, you wanted to add something?
What Shub just said is a perfect answer to the point I raised about regulation. Mass tourism is something terrible. And what you just gave as an example could be an amazing answer to that. And I think that most cities would be extremely happy to see something like that happening. And this is very concrete. I mean, no need to be like a tech genius to do so. Trip.com can make it, and this will make a big change.
You wanted to react, please?
We're working with a number of tourism boards, like Thailand, with Saudi, and with a number of others. We're trying to make that happen. Right, trying to change the user behavior, user understanding, using social media to educate them what to do, and then using AI to generate content to attract them. So there are many things we actually can tailor, but we need to work together.
Sure.
Without the data, there's not much we can do.
Yeah, I mean, I love that, right? So we have the keyword of collaboration. That's key, obviously. Like the stakeholders have to work together. But then also, what you're proposing is a very sustainable approach to travel, right? To move away from mass travel and go into like really diversifying and spreading equally across it. So speaking of sustainable travel, I mean, that's also has been for a long time one of the running themes on all the panels. Is there any solutions you're seeing, Bobby, as an investor? Changing anything that we can put hopes in that will solve that for us?
Not so much. Just some, like AI route optimization, helping airlines to have better optimization of their fuel, for example. You have sustainable travel options in some websites. But the reality behind that is that, and speaking very frankly, I really think that sustainable travel is the future of travel. However, even though you have a lot of declaration from travelers saying that they are seeking sustainable options, when it comes to paid option, there is no one. So there's a lot of like good willingness when you ask them, but if you ask them to pay like even €5 more, they won't do it.
Yeah, it's the famous say-do gap, right? It was researched a lot, yeah.
Yeah, but that's probably where regulation will make a difference. The industry needs to be net zero by 2030, and this is changing always and always. It will never happen by 2030. However, things need to change. So I would encourage the entrepreneurs here to find solution to tackle this issue, because I would say that from an entrepreneur perspective and from a business perspective, the big company, they will have to use your product. They will have to. So there is a real business opportunity there, real.
Okay.
So,
well, I want to take your comment as well.
One point to add to what Bobby is saying, I think the step one is remove the peaks.
Sure.
Okay, the thing about over-tourism is there's such a high peak is unrecoverable.
Right.
So if you can reduce the peak and just smooth it out, it actually will work. For example, we as an industry, we are now able to do experience travel. We can make things up. We can make up a holiday, a event where people will go for the F1s, the Taylor Swifts. So we can actually off-peak it.
Right.
We can do it as an industry. We're no longer bound by season, by the holidays. We have other kind of repertoire that we can use to make it happen. So I think it's really for the bring houses to come together and think about it and provide us a couple of demos, and that can be on its way.
Well, I think it sounds so exciting, and I look at the time. I mean, we're almost out of time, so I could go on for longer. As you can feel, there's so much to unpack. Gentlemen, give me just very briefly, if you had one piece of advice to any travel industry operator preparing for all of these shifts, what would be the first step to take?
Yeah, invest in your brand and your brand story, and think a bit more mid and long term, and not only look at the immediate return on invest. That won't help you to build a sustainable business and grow your brand and the loyalty with your followers and customers.
Right, so it's
So
a marathon,
don't look from month to month or quarter to quarter. Year to year is much better.
Right, okay, that's a good advice. What would you say, Bobby? What's your one advice to any travel operator to prepare for the coming shift?
So two advice. One, I think there need a real collaboration between the big travel players and the startups, because this is something we're talking about, but it's not really happening, even though I think Lufthansa is doing an amazing job. But you have a lot of big travel companies that really need to have like real innovation team collaborating within the outside. So I would encourage a collaboration between big travel companies and startups. And the second advice would be that you should send your pitch deck to contact@rochventures.com.
That was a pitch, was it? And he also added one instead of to the one, ask one, right? We got that. Schubert, you have the last word. What's your one advice to the travel community?
Sure, I think just touch on what Tino mentioned earlier. I will honestly say that autonomous agents are coming. Autonomous agent meaning there's an agent in your phone, in your computer, you say a sentence to it and it will do it for you. That's coming to us in 3 years. I can't put a date to it. I see that coming. In turn, what we need to do is prepare our systems to be more AI friendly. So if you now look at the traditional AI where it is now actionable, right? I'm talking about the OpenAI operator, the Microsoft OmniParser V2, all those that can actually operate on your OSs. That is already possible, but the pages on the websites are not very digestible. So the AIs are not very efficient. So imagine in 3 years, there could be autonomous agents doing it for you.
Right.
While you're brushing your teeth and book my flight for me, and you know me so well, you know exactly what to book. Don't bother me, and then order my Uber too. If that is coming our way, prepare our way for it.
Right.
Get our systems ready so that that day can come. I think that's what the industry should be doing it. in the coming months.
In the coming month. Oh, that's some pressure there. Okay. Well, we have some homework, I'd say. Everyone, I give the recommendation to basically do that with every speaker here at ITB Berlin. It's a no-brainer to me. If you don't do it, I can't help you. Follow them on LinkedIn. I do it personally. I learn a lot. I enjoy reading their content. And I think that's one step you can do is stay informed, right? Build your own opinion by getting a lot of input and not stay in your little bubble. Open up and get as much diverse content in. Visit trip.com. The team is here. I don't know how many is so many. It's the whole family is here, right?
Yeah, Hall 9, come visit
Hall 9.
us.
It's 121. You will see it's a beautiful booth. Go there, meet the teams. The teams are super fun. I think you have so many different topics to talk about.
We're there too.
Holiday Pirates.
Hall 9 too.
Oh, as well. Wonderful. Okay.
Right across from Airbnb.
Oh, that's also a very beautiful stand. And they have good coffee, so make friends with them and get their coffee. Right, and then I would also say, because I didn't do that before, follow Holiday Pirates on social, because that's really your turf, and it's really interesting to see how they do it. I really think it's fun to see how well this is planned out. And Bobby, where do we meet you the next days? Are you here until Thursday?
I will look at everything happening everywhere.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Give a warm applause, please, everyone. David Armstrong, Bobby Demri, and Schubert Lou. Thank you so much.